Welcome to the Soulful Valley Podcast, the sanctuary for soul-led entrepreneurs, creatives, and changemakers ready to rise. I'm your host, Carey, best-selling author, book collaboration mentor, publisher, and energy alchemist, here to help you tune into your truth, amplify your voice, and align with the frequency of miracles. Each week, we dive into soulful conversations, transformational journeys, and the energies that shape our lives and businesses. It's time to evolve on purpose, because the world needs your light, your words, your legacy. Let's begin. Are you ready to share your words with the world? Applications are now open for 2 brand new books in our best-selling Soulful Poems series, Soulful Poems 5, Nature and Nurture, Soulful Poems 6, Wisdom of the Soul. We're also inviting authors for our next transformational collaboration, Evolving on Purpose, Volume 3, Angels, Spirit Guides, and the Frequency of Miracles. This September is a month of miracles here in Soulful Valley. On the 9th, we release Soulful Poems 4 on Amazon worldwide, and on the 25th, our international award-winning movie, Zero Limits, premieres worldwide on Amazon and Apple TV. You can even pre-book your movie experience now at zerolimits-movie.com. And when you do, you'll receive exclusive gifts. So whether your soul is calling you to write, to read, or to receive inspiration on screen, this is your time. Step into Soulful Valley and co-create with us today.
You gotta love yourself with all your heart. If you don't already, it's time to start. 'Cause nothing's gonna work out until you do.
Lucinda Gordon-Lennox is a transformational coach, accredited psychotherapist, author and trauma expert who uses EMDR energetics and mindset to help clients dissolve all that is in the way of fully remembering the true power of who they are as a sovereign being. She has been on a healing journey herself for 2 decades and has worked with thousands of clients during this time. Her book, Nobody is Broken, We All Have Some Trauma and Trauma Can Be Healed, is a recognised international bestseller. She is a star of the upcoming movie Zero Limits with Dr. Joe Vitale, and she lives in southwest London with her 2 children. You can find Lucinda on socials at Lucinda Gordon-Lennox. Hello, and welcome to the Soulful Valley Podcast, Lucinda.
Oh, thanks, Katie. It's really, really lovely to be here. Really, real honour. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. I'm really excited to meet you, Lucinda, because it's the first time we've been one-to-one in a room, and I didn't get to meet you at the movie premiere, so I'm really honoured to meet you, especially as you're one of the people involved in the Zero Limits movie who is in the UK with me. So
That's right. There are very few of us, aren't there?
There are. Lucinda, it's really wonderful to have you here. And for those who haven't met you yet, can you just share a little bit about who you are and the work that you do in the world?
Yes, of course. I'm Lucinda. I spent a background as a trauma therapist, trauma expert. I wrote a book on developmental trauma, which is the part of trauma that's so often missed, that really all of us humans have by virtue of the fact that we are human. And so I wrote about that some years ago in a beautiful book. And I've been working with clients to really dissolve not just trauma as we know trauma to be, but to really dissolve blocks in their system, which are generally trauma-based, as in something was suboptimal from the past. So, we call it trauma for the sake of argument. And it's really helping people to dissolve all of that that's in their system that is preventing them from living a life in the way that they really want to live it. Because so many people are held back by anxieties, by worries, by shame, by fear, by limiting belief systems, you name it. And it really holds people back. So essentially, I help people to dissolve all of that so that they can then step into their lives, or not even step into, but be in their lives in a very different way.
That's beautiful. What's the name of the book, Lucinda?
It's called Nobody is Broken. We all have some trauma, and trauma can be healed.
Beautiful. We'll pop that in the show notes as well, with links, as well as your links to everything else. Now, Lucinda, you're featured in the Zero Limits movie, as I just mentioned at the beginning about the premiere. How did you become involved, and what was the experience like for you?
Well, it's a funny story, and I think there are lots of funny stories about how we get to be involved in a movie like this, which is really very fitting, isn't it? Because it's about zero limits. And I have been wanting to get this work, the work that I do, much more into the mainstream because it is so powerful and so incredible. And I had been putting that out there as an intention anyway. And then the opportunity came up. And I'm really passionate about the concept of zero limits. And so when the opportunity came up to work with Joe Vitale and be featured with this work, working with a client in this documentary, I was just like, well, absolutely, yes, please. And the process has been amazing. I mean, really, really, really serendipitous. Everything was serendipitous. Even to, I'm not a great one on email because, I mean, I'm sure everyone agrees these days, we are flooded with emails and marketing emails especially. And I'm very diligent actually on unsubscribing when something, you know, doesn't resonate, or I've bought once and I'm not really interested. So the emails that do come in, they're meaningful to me. They're from people I really want them to come in from. But sometimes there can be quite a lot. So depending on what's happening in the day, I won't read them. And one of the opportunity for Zero Limits, it came into my inbox, and it was nothing short of a miracle that I actually saw it in the first place, because I'm quite good at the end of the day of just sort of, you know, if I don't recognize the name, clearing my inbox. And I was in the middle of doing something else. I think I was in the middle of putting my children to bed. They're brushing their teeth. It was that weird in-between time where they don't need me, but they need a presence just to help everything move along. So I was scrolling through my inbox, and then suddenly this email came in, and I thought, oh, well, and I was responding to it at the same time as answering toothbrush queries. And, you know, it was one of those really strange things, and then didn't really think any more about it. And then the next thing I know, we're doing a day's filming in my home, and I'm filming the most beautiful client session in this movie. And yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. So it was sort of serendipitous. And, you know, I always say to people, be careful what you wish for.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
It's going to happen.
I've been watching some things within my own family lately because of how I am. My children, you know, have grown up with the way I do things, and I am literally watching things fall in multiples into their life, so that it's quite overwhelming because that many opportunities and things have all come at once. So you really do you really do have to be careful once you're tuned in and plugged into this.
You really do. And Casey, I'm going to I was away last week, funny enough, with my sister and her family, and you know, it was the week. It was the Lions Portal was open, and, you know, the 8th was on the Friday of the week we were away. And so we were really talking about this type of thing as we were away, and we were away on holiday. And even the kids were just like, they were thinking of something, and a couple of hours, 3 or 4 hours later, there it was in 3D form. It was so electric and so fantastic. And the excitement around it all was so great, you know. So it's so beautiful watching that happen in real time, especially with people who are relatively new to this way of thinking and being.
Yeah,
I just love it.
Yeah, I mean, I still see them. You know, they're miracles, aren't they? I still feel just as excited when I see them. But I love as well the amount of people that have come in with synchronicities, serendipities into this movie. That I think we've all got. I've heard a few interviews with Joe, and I think we've all got a magical story behind how we've landed in this movie, which, as you said, you would expect with a movie of this title.
Exactly.
So, Lucinda, you help people release limiting beliefs and deeply held emotions from the past. What first drew you to this line of work?
So it was personal experience that first drew me. So my background, my personal background is, in a nutshell, when I was little, I felt like there was something fundamentally wrong with me. I felt like I was a misfit in the world. I felt I was a misfit in my family system. I thought they'd all be better off without me. The negative beliefs that were driving me, although I was completely oblivious to them when I was little, but they were huge. And I had eating disorders, I had addictions. I mean, I went really, really far into that type of world. And even when I put all of that down at the age of 30, it really felt like there was something missing. And then I discovered this deep trauma release healing work and I went through it myself, and I had 3 weeks of really intensive, it was EMDR at the time, really intensive EMDR therapy. And I came out of it and I felt as though somebody had plugged me into the mains for the first time in my life. And it was just extraordinary. And I came out of those 3 weeks and I just knew this is what I'm going to help other people with. It was like, there are no two ways about it. And the funny thing was, that was just like phase 1 of the healing journey. The things that have come after that have been exponential again. But that's what started me. It was personal experience, and I was carrying so much trauma and so much negative beliefs. I was coming from a very, very dark place. And this was the absolute turnaround for me. It was the hugest shift, fundamental, the enormity. In fact, it's funny because I sometimes forget how powerful this work is, because I've been doing it for so long with so many people, and because it's my daily thing, I forget how powerful it really is, because I just do it all the time. And so it's quite nice actually to think about it and remember that not
and
everyone
remind
gets
yourself,
to do
how
this.
far you've come, as well.
Yeah, and how powerful this work is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Can you walk us through what regressing through the unconscious looks like in a session with you?
Yes, of course. So this is such a key part of the work I do, because some of the memories from the past that are holding us back, they might be conscious. Yes, of course. We can probably all think of something from the past that still carries a negative emotional charge for us. But what I find is much more powerful is when we look at the symptoms in today. So whether that's a block, we were talking about, manifesting into 3D form. Say we're trying to call something in and we have a block, it's not coming. And we've searched our mind and we've tried everything, and we just can't work out what's in the way. Or maybe we keep choosing unavailable partners in relationships. Or maybe we have had to go no contact with our family because we still feel fear and shame and rage, or whatever it is. There's always something occurring in the present that is not working for us. So we use the present day symptom, problem, whatever you want to call it. I put problem in inverted commas, but whatever isn't working so well. And we really tune into that. And this is what I help a client with, to really pinpoint the absolute moment in the present. Because what's happening when we've got that block, or the thing that's not going well, or the propensity to repeat cycles that don't work for us, it's because there's something in the unconscious that's in the way, if you like. So when we really fine tune in that moment in the present, I just invite the client to close their eyes and we connect with it. And it might be very physical, it might be emotional, it might be a sense, it might be somewhere in the body, it might be a thought, but we really connect with it in the present. And then it's a little regression technique that I think people use in hypnosis as well. But when you're really tuned into that symptom and you allow yourself, and I wouldn't try this at home because you want to do it with someone else, you allow yourself to drop back in time. What is really, really extraordinary is that the body takes us back to the root of what is presenting as a symptom in the present. Because if you think about it, the reason there's a symptom is because a root trauma has been activated. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a symptom of it in that moment. So because it's been activated through the symptom already, the process of traveling through the unconscious to the root is actually really straightforward because it's already open. And then whatever it is we land on in the past, and it might be something in childhood, it might be something in the womb, it might be something generational belonging to the parents, it might be something past lives, it might be deeply ancestral. Wherever it is that we land, that's where we do the shifting work in the session. And what's so beautiful is at the end of the session, when we come back to that symptom, it has completely shifted. So the visual might have shifted, the feeling would have gone for the body, any negative beliefs would have shifted completely. They literally would have changed almost to the opposite very often. So I find that a really, really fundamental part of the work, because it takes us places that we would never have got to in our conscious mind. It's very difficult to find the root consciously.
I totally resonate with this because I've been through some age regressions and some past life regressions where I have had major life shifts when I've come out of them.
Yeah.
And the person who I was doing them with as well was a person I was in a session with when straight after the session I saw the advert for this movie. So
there you go.
She had just told me that she saw me creating movies and she said, think like The Secret or The Shift.
There you go. Right.
So yeah, I can really understand how powerful your work
and I think what you're talking about there as well is, which is so worth a mention, because again, I think this is really fundamental, especially in terms of zero limits, is that idea of, if we think of the internet, we all know about the internet and, you know, how everything is linked, like every piece of data in the world is just sort of linked, and we can, if we just go into Google or we just turn on our device or whatever it is, and we can access so much information. I see it's almost like the quantum world, if you like, the outside the mind world, the beyond the mind world is almost like the internet. We can sort of make that comparison because we, you know, what you're describing about what you were seeing, like a movie like The Shift or The Secret, and then suddenly you come out and you're invited to be in Zero Limits. You know, it's almost like there's this whole beautiful web out there of all these cosmic links. And I think that's what you just described so beautifully as well.
And I've tapped into that a few times because this particular lady has a podcast as well. So I was a case study on the podcast. And the first series I went into regression with her was to do with love and money. And really amazingly, I'm shivering while thinking of this. Really amazingly, as my first session with her went out live on her podcast, it was the date that I had my first date with my partner now. And in that episode, you could hear where I had gone back to a past life, where I had seen myself on my deathbed with a man who loved me, with my children around me, which I had not experienced up to that point because I've been through 2 divorces. So I've had a total transformation. That was over 3 years ago now. I've had a total transformation in my life around relationship and money after that regression. So yeah,
absolutely, I believe it. That's what
it's powerful.
That's how powerful it is. Yeah. And I think that's, you know, one of the reasons I want to get this type of work out there so much is because it's not hard. Anyone can do this, and there are so many people not quite doing what they want to do in life, or feeling how they want to feel in life, or experiencing what they want to experience in life. And so many people have sort of given up trying because they don't know that there are actually ways to unlock it. And I find that so sad, because we're all sitting on gold mines inside us, but we just need to know that it's possible, and then, you know, to know who to find to help unlock all of that. Yeah.
And even once you're open to it, the people just appear, don't they? They just appear.
Absolutely, they do. Yeah.
So many people carry these unresolved blocks for years. What are some signs that someone is ready to let go of them?
That's a really lovely question. And I'm asked that quite a lot, actually. And the only thing you need, if you like, for readiness is a desire. I want to move forward. I'm tired of repeating the same behavioral patterns. I'm tired of repeating the same behavioral cycles. I want to start breaking cycles. A lot of people talk about breaking cycles at the moment, but I want to really, on a very deep level, I want to make change. Some people are like, I don't want my kids to go through anything I went through. It's really a desire for change. I find a lot of people who find it easier is when they're already on a path of desire. Because so often when we have entered the path, that's when the blocks appear the most. Because every time we want to grow, there's going to be something to grow through. So if something's not working and somebody wants it to work, that is enough readiness. It really is. And then other people are just sick and tired of being sick and tired. And that's enough as well. There isn't really much that's needed except for a desire and a willingness to do the work. It's deep work. It's not like taking a pill.
No.
It's not a Nurofen or, God forbid, anything stronger. But it does require some work. But that doesn't mean it's hard. It just really requires a willingness to show up, be open, get vulnerable. And of course that happens in layers as well. So yeah, a readiness and a willingness. We can work with anything else after that.
And talking about how it works in layers, that's exactly how it's worked for me, because relationships have changed. My life has changed in lots of areas, but there is still a physical limitation that I live with.
Sure.
So,
Absolutely.
we still, even though there are zero limits, I'm doing things that a lot of people with the physical limitations I have maybe wouldn't do.
Absolutely.
So I'm open to continued transformation, and it is, I believe, a journey, and eventually, we are where we're supposed to be, and we'll get to where
we are totally where we're supposed to be. It is absolutely right. And I think actually, fun enough, one of the, not mistakes, but one of the sort of roadblocks that some people come to is that they believe they should be somewhere different to where they are. And that can just really end up being one of the most frustrating places to be. Because the only place we can be is right here, right now. There isn't any out there. It simply doesn't exist. There might be some things, it might be like, okay, so I'd like to feel shame-free. Yeah, fine, have that, as a goal. But anything other than that, it tends just to be so future-based. And of course, as you and I both know, there's no such thing as a future. There's only now. And there's really no such thing as the past. It's just our perception of it and our memory of it, isn't it? We are all exactly where we're meant to be. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. And I think that can be quite a big concept to really let in. But when we can, that's when all the teachings of the greatest, the Eckhart Tolle. I mean, how many years has he been talking about the word now?
Yeah. And I've been practicing mindfulness for 10 years. I'm a mindfulness coach as well. And now I find that what most coaches are talking about is mindfulness.
Absolutely.
Mindfulness is the root of a lot of this, and how we end up perceiving what is going on in our lives.
Yes.
So let's go back to the zero limits connection. How does your method align with the idea of living life with zero limits?
So in a nutshell, my personal belief is that we are all, as beings, we are all limitless. But what happens to us, because we are humans, which means we are We have a survival mind, which really, it collates data from the past and puts it into really annoying thoughts that we project into the future, but with a view to keeping us safe. It's sort of benevolent, but it's also a machine. Our mind, it's a machine. And it wants to keep us safe. So it's always on the lookout for danger, and it's always on the lookout for worst case scenarios. And we also have a limbic system that is also, in many respects, wired for survival. We've got this amygdala in our brain, which is almost always actively looking for a threat in order to keep us safe. So with this survival limbic system and the survival mind, we tend to come through life, and especially our childhood, where we really are developing and forming neural pathways in our brain. It's such a pivotal time. And we come through it, we don't get to process every experience that happens to us. It's impossible. And we have lots of experiences that perhaps are either too much for us, or they're too soon because we're too little. And our brain and our body doesn't completely process them. So we end up with a lot of stored stuff in our system. And we've still got that survival mind that's using all the data from the past to predict what's going to happen in the future. And so if we're not careful, we will plateau through life at best and spiral down at worst. So even though we've got this limitless soul that is perfect and enough and completely lovable, we tend to build up, because we're human, a repertoire, if you like, not quite the right word, but that sort of thing, of stuff that helps us to forget that we are a limitless being. So what I do with my work is, the aim is to dissolve all of that stuff that we've acquired, whether it's the suboptimal experiences, traumas, it might be conditionings. There's so much conditioning in our world today. And we allow all of that to dissolve so that the limitlessness, if you like, of the soul that we are can be felt. And with that comes so much deep empowerment. And so that's, I suppose, the connection with the zero limits. It's starting out with that belief that every single one of us is limitless. And it's just a question of getting out of the way of all the stuff that we've built up over time so that we can really realize that.
That's a beautiful explanation and a reminder. Thank you for that, Lucinda. Do you have a story, either from your own life or a client's, with their permission obviously, where you saw a dramatic transformation once those blocks were released?
Oh my goodness, yes. I mean, thousands. I mean, that this is the work. That's what's so incredible about this work. Every single one is a huge transformation. I mean, even, whether it's, people will come and they're living in a place of scarcity or fear, anxiety. And that really takes up a lot of their life. And I think many humans, if we get really, really honest, will say, oh God, yeah, that's me too, actually. And then you do the work and then, oh my goodness, no, I'm not scared. I don't feel like life is out to get me. In fact, I know it's not. Oh my goodness. I don't feel shame. I realize I've done nothing wrong. I realized nothing was my fault. There are such fundamental and dramatic shifts that we can experience. I remember when I personally, God, it took me years. I'm not going to lie, it took me a long, long time. My core belief that I thought I was never, ever going to be able to release was the belief there was something fundamentally wrong with me. And I feel, I remember the amazing analytical hypnotherapist I had 15 years ago or so. And I remember, look, she was really, really, really good. And I remember saying to her, I think we were back. I think I'd just been born. We were in a regression. I'd just been born. And she just tried to convince you. She kept saying, but can you see that when you're born, there's nothing wrong with you? I was like, nope, I was born wrong. Like, it was so deeply entrenched. I could not loosen it at all. And so, you know, from that context, everything in the world was scary, because there was always that feeling that, well, I'm going to be caught, I'm going to be punished, I'm going to be caught out. And this is what happens to us when we have those embedded beliefs, even if it's I'm not enough, which I think, again, every human on the planet has. Every time we try and do something, what we're trying to do is we're trying to correct that belief. But because we're trying to correct it from the context of the belief itself, we're never going to manage it. So if we really feel I'm not good enough or I'm not enough, it doesn't matter what we do. It doesn't matter how many times we break ourselves in a million pieces to try and get everything right, or to try and do the right thing, or be the good person, or whatever it is. We are never, ever, ever going to get that sense of I am enough, because we're trying to fix it, if you like, from the context of not feeling enough. So when you really witness, and I remember, you know, when I really shifted that, my whole world literally did a 180. And when I witnessed somebody shifting that context of I'm not enough, suddenly, you know, the relaxation that occurs in the system is unparalleled. I mean, sometimes people do want to sleep for quite, you know, like a month. They'll say, oh my God, I've been sleeping 12 hours a night for so long. Like, well, yeah, I mean, your system's come out of hypervigilance for the first time in 45 years. Allow yourself to rest. So really profound changes like that. And then on the more practical level, people see things rather like you said, you know, after your regression, and suddenly there you are meeting your soulmate. I mean, I have that for sure with clients. We do all the work on why it's available, people that they've been choosing, and what's been going on in the subconscious and generationally, and very often ancestrally with that kind of thing. And once that's all been cleared, poof, suddenly they, you know, into their life appears a beautiful partner, and they have an amazing, healthy relationship. Yes, relationships are always going to trigger us, and, you know, they'll have another journey to explore with that person. But that person arrived, you know. People's businesses, certainly if they're entrepreneurs and they come because they're a bit stuck at a level, or because a lot of things come up for people generally when they begin entrepreneurship or when they want to up level in their business. And so the results are very evident. You know, everything opens up. They open up, the business opens up. So yeah, there are thousands of examples like that. And then just that idea of like, God, I'm just not living in fear anymore. And wow, I just don't feel shame anymore. You know, these are big, big things. And my God, I'm not waking up anxious anymore. You know, really, really huge. So it occurs on the, you know, internally, we feel the shifts internally. And then, of course, they are reflected externally as well. I've got deeper relationships with children. There's some people who really have had to go no contact on their family for many, many years, are suddenly integrating with their family. And even though their family hasn't necessarily changed or done any work, it doesn't touch them in the same way. People in relationships, whether it's work, romantic, with children, suddenly realize they're just not triggered in the same way. I think, you know, we all know about being triggered these days because it's such a buzzword. And that idea that, you know, I can be with my partner and my children and they're all kicking off and I'm just sitting here and I'm okay and it's not touching me.
And that's an amazingly powerful place to be.
It really is. Really, really is. Yeah. That's the beauty of this work. Yeah.
Absolutely. For someone listening who feels stuck right now, what's one simple first step they can take today to start shifting that energy?
I mean, gosh, there are so many tips on this one, aren't there? It so depends where someone is and how much work they've done and the level of awareness. But the one thing which I think is so, so important, if you can take on the belief that you are not your mind and you are not your body. Yes, SHIT things have probably happened in the past, and not dismissing them in the slightest. And a lot of them might well need validating, and that's a really important part of the process, because we need to feel deeply seen as humans for everything that we've been through. It's super important. And if you're feeling a bit stuck, my guess is that there have been things that have happened in the past that have been really far from optimal. And do have someone see you in that, because it's really important. And then remember, whilst you do, that those experiences are not you. And this is really important, because when we can take a little space, we can see that our thoughts are very mechanical and they are not us. And that our bodies hold emotions which need to be felt and moved through, but again, are not us. Then we can really help manage ourselves as humans a lot more easier. So the invitation would be just to sit quiet and notice where the stuck is. Notice where it is. Can you feel it in the body? We can generally feel it in the body if we're feeling stuck. Or it might be in the mind. And to really notice that stuckness and just to be with it. Now, it might sound really counterintuitive, but where a lot of people go awry is trying to change something, trying to push something away. I don't want to feel stuck. I'm pushing. Blah, 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 blah. But actually really be with it. Because when we can really be with the experience that we're having right now, then it has an opportunity to do what it needs to do. And that is very often when we're actually going to make the shift, when we are in complete non-resistance to what is. So if that doesn't feel like too much, I think that's a really powerful thing we can do.
And that's a beautiful share, Lucinda. Are there any myths about healing the past that you'd love to bust?
Good question. I think a lot of people think that let the past be past. I don't want to open that can of worms. And I appreciate and fully respect that, and that's a personal choice if you don't want to. But if you are stuck, then opening that can of worms will probably be the best thing you've ever done in your life, because it's not that bad. It really isn't.
That used to be me. I literally did not want to go there.
Right? Yeah.
A long time ago.
And I think it's true for so many people.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I meet people and they hear what I do and they literally they're like, oh, I don't want to come too near you. I don't want to, I'm too scared of opening that can of worms. And yeah, I used to be a little bit by it, but I get it. I mean, you don't have to, but if you're stuck and you want to move forward, it's okay. And the other myth is, some people come to me and they say, oh, I'm just a really anxious person. I'm just a really fearful person. And they have made whatever happened in the past and their response to it and their relationship with it, they think that's their personality. And it's not. So that's definitely a myth that I come across a lot. And then a myth of healing. I mean, there are so many, but I think my message is, it's in my book title. We all have some trauma. Trauma can be healed. Nobody is broken. We might feel broken. I mean, hell, I felt broken for years. But it's just a feeling. It's not a fact. I honestly believe that nobody is too broken to heal. I really, really believe that. So maybe that's another myth that we can bust today.
Beautiful, thanks. Lucinda, what's lighting you up the most in your work right now?
Oh, that's a really good question for right now, because I am excited. I've had so many people say to me, please, can you train me in the work that you do? I love how you work. I want you to train me. And I've been sitting with it quite a long time now. And then the last few weeks, I thought, okay, yes, let's do it. So I'm putting that together right now. And I'm absolutely loving every second of it, because it's combining the science, the regression, the processing the deep trauma, the rewiring of the neural networks. There's going to be huge teachings on the mind, because I think that is just such an important part of the puzzle that a lot of people don't talk about enough. There's going to be a really big energetics piece, because as the planet really is shifting and the vibration on the planet is changing at such a huge rate, people are really connected on an energetic level and feeling energies move through them more than I ever recall in the 20 years since I've been doing this type of work. And that's so exciting. So, bringing that in to the work is really good too. And then, of course, the quantum piece, the working with the laws of the universe, or AKA 3D manifestation, if you want to call it that, bringing that piece in as well. So it's going to be the most wonderful training. And then people can just go off and start doing the work on others straight away. So we can really, really get this ripple effect of this beautiful work going out further.
That sounds amazing. I'll be watching what you do there. And finally, where can people connect with you?
Of course. So I'm Lucinda Gordon-Lennox everywhere. So that's my website, Instagram. I'm on Facebook a little bit, but I don't spend much time on there, but I think it's on there. It sort of links over. But Instagram and my website at Lucinda Gordon-Lennox are probably the best places.
Wonderful. Is there anything we haven't spoke about that you'd like to share before we leave?
Well, except, Katie, that speaking to someone at UWork, I'd be happy to speak to you for hours about everything. But I mean, apart from that, no, it's been really lovely talking as we have.
It's been great to have you here. We'll pop all the links in the show notes. So that's it for today.
Great.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
So ask yourself, is this for me? Give yourself some boundaries. Learn to trust your intuition now.
Hi there, I'm Desiree Anderson, one of the authors of Entangled No More, an amazing international book project spearheaded by Soulful Valley Publishing and led by the fantastic Carey. This book achieved over 33 number one international categories on Amazon and has gone on to be one of the most cherished and loved books that Katie has published so far. I was just so fortunate to meet Katie and to be able to express my journey, the lessons that I've learned, and how I can help others through this book, as have many other authors who have been published through her publishing company. If you're thinking that you want to express yourself and tell your story, chiefly to help others, think no more. It's an amazing healing experience, and Katie will hold you, she will cherish you, but she will also guide you intuitively so that your story gets to the people that need it most. I'm Desiree Anderson, CEO of Crest Coaching and HR. You can reach me at crestcoachingandhr.com. But do look into writing and publishing through Soulful Valley Publishing House. I have not looked back. Take care, and thanks again to Katie for everything she's done.